Okay, happy Hanukkah, everybody. Happy Hanukkah. We're gonna take a 5-minute break just to light the menorah now that it's sundown and the 8th day of Hanukkah has kicked in. We're going to light the last round of the Hanukkah menorah for this year, but just before we do, let me just say it's a real treat to see everybody here. It's really fantastic, especially all the young kids and young adults and everybody with such a lot of strength and vigor. It's really a treat to see everybody. And like to thank everybody who came and everybody who sponsored. We have a number of sponsors for the event. One of them is the local Therapeutics Unlimited. Can you hear me? Yeah. The local Therapeutics Unlimited on down the road in honor of Melissa Prestopino. She's here. And then we have the Ziegler family and Janet Kraft and Phyllis Rem who have sponsored today's event. There's still sponsorship available. Come over to me and we're always open for that. Just before we light, just a small idea before we light the menorah to take with us, as today is the last day of Chanukah. In the Hebrew vernacular in Jewish law, the last day of Chanukah is known as Zos Chanukah. Zos Chanukah. Literally in Hebrew it means, Zos means this. This is Chanukah. The last day is known as Zos Chanukah. This is Chanukah, which means that today is the finale, it's the climax of the entire Chanukah. Which means that today is the day, the last day of Chanukah, when we have the opportunity to focus on the holiday that we've been celebrating all these 8 days, the meaning of the holiday, and most importantly, what we take with us from this holiday. It's not that just we had an 8 days of a holiday and we did nice things, we ate latkes, we lit candles, which is all wonderful, but to take the message of Chanukah together with us for the rest of the year. Just wanted to share one of the messages of Chanukah, a very pertinent message, and that is that as we get older a little bit and we examine the story of Chanukah. The story of Chanukah is a story which is well documented both in Jewish sources and also in common sources. The Greek the Greek era was a very well documented time in history, and it's very fascinating to note that the Chanukah story is different than many other Jewish holidays in the sense that the Greeks, who were the foe, who were the problem of the Chanukah story, were originally not out to annihilate the Jewish people. They did not have the traditional, the unfortunate anti-Semitic tendencies that were so common throughout the 3,500 years of Jewish history. They started off different. And the way they started off was that they were a culture that was extremely progressive. They were the cutting edge of the culture at the time. But what they wanted very desperately was that everybody should be like them. And that the Jewish culture, the contrast between Athens and Jerusalem, between the Jewish culture and the Greek culture, was something which disturbed them very much. And they were bent on getting everybody in the region to go over to the common culture, to the ways and the attitudes that they had. There were many good parts of it, but there were also some parts which were not good about it. And the Jews, however, stuck to the culture and to the tradition and to the values that they knew were true, that they took from Mount Sinai and that had carried them and continues to carry them throughout the ages. And as Jews did all the time, they refused to convert to the usual culture, to the general dominating ideas that dominated the time, but rather they stuck to what they knew was true. And it was because of that the Greeks had a problem with them, and that escalated. That problem was brought forth and came more until that the Greeks actually turned into an enemy, as we know the traditional story of Hanukkah, where they went into the temple and vandalized it and harassed Jews in a very strong way, etc., etc. But it all started off with the want and the will of everybody to accept the common culture with whatever it has to offer. And the festival of Hanukkah, therefore, is a time when we celebrate the victory of the want to convert everybody to the dominant culture. We celebrate the victory of the individual, of the right and of the ability to be different. And Jews have always been different in the sense that they had a Torah, the code of what showed them that which was right, and it mattered little of what everybody else was doing if that something that everybody else was doing wasn't that which was called for. The Jews didn't subscribe to it, or at least officially didn't subscribe to it. Although that meant that they would have been different, they would have maybe stuck out, as the phrase is. That didn't matter. What mattered was that which was right, that which was correct. And Hanukkah is the festival where we celebrate that. If we actually think into the story of Hanukkah and the understanding of what Hanukkah is all about, that is the real conclusion that we come out with. It is the victory of light over darkness, of the ability to stand up for what you know is right and for what you know is good. And maybe even though the whole world or much of the world around you isn't doing that, that doesn't matter. It is okay. It is correct to stand by your values even though it's something that not everybody else is doing. And the obvious lessons, the obvious lesson that we can take out of Hanukkah, each and every time, in each and every age has its own challenges, every age has its own issues, and we living today in 2015, 16, have our level of knowledge and understanding of what may be correct or what may be right, maybe not that which everybody else is doing, which applies very much to young people, to children, where peer pressure is a very strong thing, where the want not to be different is quite strong. But we know that the story of Hanukkah tells us is that ultimately, even though we may be few, even though those that stood up for what was right were few and far between, but in the end of the day, we still stand here and celebrate Hanukkah today, 2,000 years after that war was won. And that's a small idea we can take out for the festival of Hanukkah, being that this is the last day of Hanukkah. And we're going to go now to the actual lighting of the menorah. We'll ask Perry Rab, a long-time member of Chabad. I know. Okay. I'll give you the... You got the almost done? Yep. Okay, talking to... That's in the mic. Two blessings are made over the menorah, and we'll answer Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Kedeshanu b'mitzvosav v'tzivonu lahadlik ner Chanukah.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam she'asa nisim lavotenu bayamim hazman hahem bazman hazeh.
Amen. Masor Yeshua si lechana eleshabeach tikam beis tefilasi vesham toda nezabeach leyestachin matbeach Mitzaram nabeyach azegmar b'shir mizmar Chanukah samizbeyach azegmar b'shir mizmar Chanukah samizbeyach. Just a couple of announcements before we finish and everybody goes back. First of all, enjoy the food. I don't want to take it home. Enjoy it. That's the first thing. Second thing, we have arts and crafts for the children. If you want to take a break from the bowling, we have Hanukkah cookies to decorate and all sorts of wonderful, interesting things for every age if you'd like to take part. That's number 2. Number 3, get yourself into the raffle that we're making for Hanukkah presents. Fill out the question, put the note in the box, and we'll get you into the raffle. And before we end this part of the program, about 5 years ago, when we lit the 8 lights of Hanukkah, Chava and I went to the hospital of all places, and we'd like to wish Yosef Yitzchak a happy 5th birthday on the 8th night of Hanukkah. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Yosef Yitzchak. Happy birthday to you. And I think we have a little treat here as well in honor of the birthday. Happy Hanukkah, everybody. Great to see everyone. Enjoy. And we shall see each other on tremendous, happy, and good, joyous occasions in the future. Thank you.
How are you? Good.
Get an installer. Okay, happy Hanukkah. We have here Cooper Finley. Cooper Finley learns at the Chabad Hebrew School, which is a great Hebrew school in Sparta, which is run by the Chabad. Now, Cooper knows the story of Hanukkah. I really know that, right, Cooper? I know you do. Okay, Cooper, now actually I got a secret to tell everybody watching, that Cooper has a special connection with Hanukkah, because the hero of Hanukkah was called, what's your name? Hebrew name? Matisyahu. And Matisyahu was the hero of Hanukkah because he was the leader of the Maccabees who went up and fought against the Greeks, right? Okay, now Cooper, I have a question for you. What was the miracle of Hanukkah? Can you tell us a story in 30 seconds?
That the Maccabees won the war of the Greeks and Maccabees.
Yeah, and then what happened? They came back to Jerusalem, and what did they find?
And they found Torah.
They found a mess, right? What do they look for?
Dreidel?
Dreidels? Nah, they had to light the menorah, remember?
Candles.
Well, in those days they used a lot of oil, right?
Menorah?
Yeah, for the menorah they used oil. So they looked for like this jar of oil, and what happened? Do you remember? Did they find it? Well, I'm going to get some better questions soon. But that jar of oil lasted for 8 days. Ah, you do remember now. Okay. All right, Cooper. Now here's the best question of all. What is your favorite part of Hanukkah?
That you have to light candles.
You love lighting candles? Did you light candles in your house?
No.
Yes, I saw those candles.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you were. Yeah, I was at your house. Do you like latkes or donuts? Or those
Latkes.
chocolate coins?
Latkes.
Latkes. Latkes are favorite of Hanukkah. Many Hanukkah foods are made out of oil or fried in oil to remember the miracle of the oil. All right, Cooper, that was pretty good. Can you tell? You know about it? You know what a dreidel is? What's a dreidel?
It's something that you spin.
Yeah, cool. And that's on Hanukkah we do that, right? Do you know why we spin a dreidel? Or did not get that far?
Didn't get that far.
Didn't get that far. The reason why we spin a dreidel is because on the 4 sides of the dreidel, there's the 4 Hebrew letters. Nun, Gimel, Hey, and Shin, which stand in Hebrew for Nes Gadol Hayasham, which means a great miracle happened there. And that's why kids play with dreidels on Hanukkah. We spin that dreidel, right? You did that today. All right, Cooper. Cooper's in the junior class at the Hebrew school, and we wish Cooper a happy Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah, Cooper.
Happy Hanukkah.
Go have a donut. And you can have 2 for being such a good guy.
I don't like donuts.
You know, I'll have 2 latkes.
Nah.
How many latkes do you have? Chocolate coins?
Yeah.
Now we got the right. You want 2 chocolate coins?
1.
1? Okay, you got it. It's right on the table. So this is Jay Ziegler. Jay has been a frequent offender at Chabad. Come for more years than I've been around. And Jay lives in Lafayette, technically.
Lafayette is the mailing address. Andover Township.
Andover Township. And Jay is a father, together with his wife, of a whole crew of very wonderful children.
We have 5 children, yes.
Lovely. And Jay, what is the first Hanukkah that you remember?
Wow, the first Hanukkah I remember? That's a good question. I don't think I have a specific memory of the very first Hanukkah. I mean, Hanukkah has always been a holiday that I've enjoyed and looked forward to, especially as a child. The opportunity for family to get together to celebrate a very happy event in not just Jewish history but in world history. I think I think very few people understand the significance of Hanukkah, and a lot of times people I would speak to who are not Jewish, focus on the miracle of the lights, or the story of the oil lasting for 8 days, as opposed to the other part of the story, which is the significance of the military victory and the maybe the first time that a people fought for religious freedom. And that's the part I like to stress. I like to talk about with the kids, that this is a celebration, really a celebration for everybody who loves liberty, who loves the opportunity for the right to worship, according to one's beliefs. That a very small group of people, according to their beliefs and with God's help, was able to overcome the greatest army in the world at the time.
Sure. Very apropos with American foundations. We have the founding fathers who exactly of the same bust, of the same idea.
Absolutely. In fact, funny that you should say that, because I was I forgot where I was reading it, but I was reading about the founding fathers and the ideas that went into the formation of the Constitution, or the ideas that went into the creation of the United States. And a lot of the founding fathers were people who had studied Talmud, and had I think Jefferson had a very old and valuable collection of Talmudic books in his library.
Sure. And it's always a beautiful thing, some people think it's maybe coincidental that Hanukkah and the national holidays, or the holidays that many other people celebrate, do coincide in their time of year. But really, Hanukkah is a very foundational festival in Jewish thought and in Jewish ideas, and it's really wonderful to be able to celebrate it together with everybody. And as adults, we have many children here, but as adults, especially today, and everything that we read and everything that we talk about, it's so important to refocus into that message that Hanukkah